We continue with Chatroom number 2, film educational initiatives when national ones don't exist. So I invite Barbara Zupičić, educational program advisor from Art-kino in Rijeka, Croatia. Rajko Petrović, head of children and youth film workshop program. He has many heads, but this one is only related to Free Zone Junior from Serbia. Then we have Tea Gabidzashvili, project manager of Kino Scholarship Film at School, Georgian Film Center, National Film Center, so Georgia. Kaisa Emilia Kukkola, film education trainer, project coordinator, IhmeFilmi from Finland. And sorry, yes, I'm missing the next slide, sorry. Carla Augusto and Margarida Assis, so both of them are related to Cine Clube de Viseu from Portugal. So, welcome. Let's now go back to the Zoom. Let me see if all of you are here. Margarita, Kaisa, okay. So, for those who just started to be part of the second day of the conference, so the difference between panel and the chat room is that we give you a floor and the time to present what you do, because most of the time we actually do not know what our neighbor does. So I give floor to Barbara from Art-kino.
Hello.
From Rijeka, and she's gonna guide us through the school at cinema. In most of the film studies at the European level, school at cinema has been highlighted as a success story from Croatia and especially from Rijeka. So, Barbara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Martina. I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, okay. Hello to everyone. I'm Barbara Zupičić. Martina has presented me, and I work at Art-kino in Rijeka, and I'm responsible for the program for children and youth in our institution. And I would like to present you today our program School at the Cinema. I will share my screen now. I would like to tell you something about our institution. First of all, we are Art-kino. We are a public cultural institution founded by our city, the city of Rijeka, and we are the only remaining cinema located in the city center. We are quite have a rich history as a cinema. The first screening was held here in 1927. And we manage several venues. Our main venue is Art-kino Croatia. It's a venue with more than 300 seats. You can see a photo here on your left of this beautiful venue. We have a mini Art-kino as well. It's a place where we screen films with lesser seats, around 20, but it's a space we use for workshop as well. We have a summer Art-kino, which is held in our courtyard during the summertime, Art-kino Lab, and starting from next year, we will be part of the Children's House. If you were present yesterday, our director Boba told you something more about the Children's House. As I've said, I don't know if I said before, Art-kino is an art house cinema, but we have a very rich young audience program as well, School at the Cinema. This is the subject of my presentation today. I will tell you something a little bit more, but we have different other programs, film screenings some weekends, workshops, premieres of films from and for children, and the festival Toboggan. Boba mentioned that in her presentation also yesterday. It's an ongoing program for Rijeka as the European Capital of Culture of 2020. So the School at the Cinema, it's one of our oldest program. It was implemented in 2009 and developed in collaboration with the Croatian Film Association, the Department of Culture, our local Department of Culture, and the Department of Education of our city that helped us reach to the schools. Here is a photo, pre-corona photo of one of the screenings from a School at the Cinema. is the School at the Cinema program. It's a program of selected films for various ages and grades in primary and secondary school education. And the screenings are accompanied by a brief introductory lecture about certain elements of film language, but about the films that are on the program as well, just to give a frame to the children that come to the screenings. It's aimed at raising film literacy in the way of raising awareness about film and promoting and developing film culture among children as well. And it's very essential to us, and we stress that over and over again. We like to promote with this program cinemas as central places for watching films. It's a form of audience development program. Of course, we have to reinvent this statement now due to the Corona crisis. But hopefully, when this crisis will pass, we will have our cinema again filled with children and young people. The School at the Cinema is carried on it consists on three separate programs. The program for kindergartens from primary schools and secondary schools. The program for kindergartens is aimed, first of all, at familiarizing children from an early age with films, but with the cinema-going experience as well. Some of the children that participate in our programs encounter watching films in the cinema for the first time within this program. So this is really quite something, I think. And the program consists mainly of animated films. This is the film category that children at this age are most familiar with. They like to watch animated films, and mostly it consists of short animated films because of the attention span, of course, of preschoolers. But we have feature films as well for the older age groups of preschoolers of 6 to 7 years of age. It promotes mostly Croatian and European films. The program for last year and for this year consists 100% of either European or Croatian films. So we are really proud of that. And of course, how do we select the films that are meant for our kindergartens? The duration of the programs matches the age of the participants. The most popular programs are the programs of shorts. They last around 30 minutes. We have a lot of Croatian authors, some classic children's shorts like Professor Baltazar, you can see here. But also European shorts like last year we had Julia Ocker, a German animation author. She's great, and we find that it's really great to introduce new authors every year. The stories in the films have to be simple storylines, and the plots have to be simple so children can follow them and understand them. And we always stress that this is really important for us, not just for kindergartens, but for later on for primary schools and for secondary schools as well, that stories must promote pro-social behavior like empathy, solidarity, and friendship. As a famous film critic, Roger Ebert, says that movies are machines that can generate empathy. And I think this is really important because children with films, watching films, can see different stories, different journeys, and they can identify and encounter them through film. The program for primary schools is linked more to the school curriculum and especially the school curriculum for Croatian language and literature that is divided in three different components. And one of the components is culture and media. It used to be called media culture. And the selected films accompany the topics regarding films that are taught from the 1st to the 8th grade during primary school education. I have to say just something about, and I will mention it later on in my presentation, that last year the school curriculum for Croatian language has been changed. a new curriculum has been introduced, and we have noticed that some of the topics regarding films have been reduced. So hopefully this will not have an impact on the program, but we'll see in the years to come. What is important for us again with this program is that we promote that children watch films in an adequate venue with adequate technical conditions or in the cinema. This is especially important for film reception. Children, when you watch a film, of course, in a cinema, everything, your experience is all concentrated on watching the film. There are no distractions, and this is really important for watching films and reception of the content. The criteria for selection in primary schools, again, we prefer to show and screen European films, both classics or recent European children's films. Again, Croatian children film classics, but recent Croatian children films as well, just to change the focus of children from the commercial American film production, and to just open their gaze towards different cinematographies, both European or our domestic. All film genres are present. We have, but mostly in this program we have feature films and animated films, lesser documentaries, and it was really interesting to hear the presentation Maya gave about documentaries, and we will try to include more documentaries that are meant for primary schools and this age. The program for secondary schools is is based on the possible correlation with a wider range of subjects. Again, Croatian language, but as well foreign languages, philosophy, psychology, history, art, music, and so on. Because in secondary school, film is seldom a source of study classes, film study classes. It's present perhaps in 2 schools in Rijeka, but in most schools is used and as an auxiliary learning resource. And again, we try to show the various film examples for secondary schools. Again, most of the films we screen in this program are European films. And we have a lot of documentaries as well for this age group, and American independent films and film classics. And I would say that overall, more than 80% of the program consists of Croatian or European films, which is I would say, rather high percentage overall. Some of the numbers, you can see how the attendance and the admissions in the school and the cinema program goes in the last 4 years. We had a constant increase of numbers until last year, but this was due to a school strike that took place in Croatia, and that lasted almost 2 months. And in these 2 months, of course, children and the young people didn't have any school. They weren't able to come to participate in our program. So you can see a decrease in primary and admissions in primary schools and secondary schools. But we saw an increase in the admissions from kindergartens. And then, of course, 2020 came and the coronavirus, and we'll see, of course, this year numbers will be different. What are the challenges of this program? A challenge that we see, and I have mentioned it before, the changes in the curriculum that happened last year in the Croatian language. The new curriculum will be introduced over the next until 2021, and the topics regarding films have been reduced. And this is somehow, the inclusion of content related to films you can see here, depends upon the teacher's preferences. A lot of teachers love film. They love to bring their pupils to our cinema, but some teachers avoid the film altogether. They are not. It's not mandatory to include film in their teaching, and sometimes. And very often we see that film is the first content that gets sacrificed when catching up with the curriculum. This happened last year when we had the school strike, and we'll see how well how film will be regarded this year with all this corona crisis and the schools. One of the problems we have encountered in the last 2 years is a problem with transportations. The schools from outside the outskirts of Rijeka sometimes are not able to reach us. It's quite expensive. They cannot use public transportation. They must lease a bus and come to our cinema. And often transportation is not available to them. So this program is not available as well. But there are a few advantages for us. First of all, being a public cultural institution that is founded and supported by our city gives us stability of founding and stability to our organization overall. We have financial support from various sources. First of all, Croatian Audiovisual Center, the Primorje-Gorski Kotar County. This is the county where our city is located. The Croatian Film Directors Guild, and so on. And that's why we are able to offer free admission to all the participants in this program, so it's accessible to all children and youth. This is since we consider the school at the cinema program an educational program, and education should be accessible to everybody regardless of their social economic status. We're really pleased that we can offer free admission to all the children and young people. And teachers, we have seen this trend in the last few years, that teachers are starting to recognize the educational potential that film has, and they try to include once a year a visit to our cinema and see something and watch some of the films we have selected for them. And what does the future holds for us? First of all, we are switching partially online as well. So from this year, part of our program for primary and secondary schools will be available online as well. We will see how the schools will react to that, but from the first reaction, we have sent the program for this year. They're starting to contact us. Some schools have decided to come and see the films in the cinema, but others will switch to the online program. The future, of course, holds for us is the Children's House. I have mentioned it before, and Boba gave a very insightful presentation yesterday, so you can see it will be a new venue where that will be dedicated to culture and art from children from 0 to 12 years of age. And with the online school at the cinema and the Children's Heart, we will hopefully expand the reach of our program outside of our county. Have I surpassed my time? No, not yet. I'm not able.
Sorry, I was muting.
Yeah.
Yes, a bit, but you're finished.
Okay. We have also additional programs that I have mentioned before, so I will really be quick with that. We have the traveling film workshops that it was a part of the European programs of the European Capital of Culture. So in the last 5 years, we had different workshops in primary schools in Rijeka, and 8 schools were included in this program. And in total, 11 shorts were made by children. Mm-hmm. The festival Toboggan, Boba has mentioned it also, yes, so I will skip that. And this is something we regard that is very important, an educational program for teachers, the Rijeka Media Literacy Days. It's really important because it's a form of informal education and a lifelong training for for educators mostly, that's concentrated on films, and it's a key factor in improving the levels of education for our teachers. Here is a slide about the children's house, so I will skip that, and
yes.
And this is
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. You were great. Okay, so we will catch up with you in this Q&A section. So I would like to invite Rajko and to tell us how the situation is in Serbia.
I don't know what to tell. Probably nice, fine, a lot of expansion, you know, and
I mean, from your behalf, you are working a lot, so you have different hats. I know you as a distributor, especially also focusing on distribution of children's films, and this is important to highlight. But I leave you the floor.
Okay.
So what's going on?
Okay. I would like to introduce you our program, Free Zone Junior. I prepared some kind of presentation for you. I will try to share you just to follow the steps, and I will try to explain all this. Okay, actually Free Zone Junior is a part of the Free Zone Film Festival. It's a human rights film festival established 16 years ago at Belgrade, and of course we are trying to promote all these issues in Serbia and topics, and now it's much more relaxed atmosphere in Serbia in a way. But when we start 15 years ago, it was really hard to openly speak about the different kind of hard topics for this region, especially after the wars in the region in the 90s. And in this process, immediately, we start on our program Free Zone Junior in 2005. And our goal was to initiate dialogue and experiment knowledge in Serbia on different social and political issues, especially for the young people, for high school and elementary school. And we put a lot of effort in these times to find a way how to develop and to place this program in the school. At that moment, in Serbia, Serbian government and Ministry of Education opened two new subjects. One was civic education. One of them was civic education. And actually, in the first 2 or 3 years of this program, they don't have any strong curriculum. You know, they don't have even books, manuals, material to organize the classes. So when we heard about it, we prepared some kind of program for them. And actually that was, on this way, we opened the door to step forward into system of education in Serbia. Today the program is very big. We have several projects during the years, but I want to say more about these two main segments of the program. One is to use the film as educational tool in formal education. It's for the elementary, secondary, and in the last 2 years or 3 years on universities. And the second part of the programs are workshop or documentary film schools for the youth. This second part of the program, of course, is not formal education. It's not connected to any faculty of university of art, but a lot of our high-skilled children who attended all these documentary film schools are now directors, actors, you know, they're writing screenplays. They find a lot of places in film industry. Okay, I would like to present this program with school and universities. Okay, so in Serbia, at the moment when we start, we think that our context is very problematic, strong, and complex. And we always try to make some kind of, with this program, understanding of the context. And with this content, want to open the dialogue between the children and the professors and the teachers in the schools. In the last 15 years, the role of the teachers and professors are always changing. You know, in the first phase of this project, they were classical teachers and professors, but during the years, they, together with us, they became researcher, facilitator, moderator, and today they are capable to speak openly, you know, about all these issues and subjects which this program are following, and it's part of it. Okay, our aims in all this year was to promote and popularize human rights issues, which was very, very problematic in Serbia environment, to enrich youth knowledge about all these issues and their understanding of challenges and faces to the society where they live, because Serbia is a typical ex-socialistic country with a very heavy transition period. And in the last 20 years, we passed to several difficult processes and phases in it. We also try to increase motivation to the teachers who are working in the school, especially because we are providing them additional material to work with the children, and for the most of them, it was huge help to organize the classes. Also, we try to inform teachers and the pupils in the schools about different film styles to increase their, you know, knowledge about the film, especially in documentary films. And it was really, really strong process. And now, you know, after the 15 years, we have 4 manuals. The manuals are some kind of educational set of the text and the DVD compilation of the short films who are using in the classes. And all these manuals, or if we want to, when we want to establish this program in the schools, we have to organize a seminar for the children, for the teachers and professors, and to teach them how to use all these manuals and educational set. And at the moment we have more than 1,800 elementary and high school in this system, and it's more than 65% of the whole educational system in Serbia. This program is accredited by Ministry of Education, and in each 4 years we are accrediting for the next 4 years, and it is very important for us because the teachers and professors who are working in the small town in Serbia, and especially in small places and villages, they only want to work with the programs who are accredited by Ministry of Education. Okay, our manuals, or these educational sets, consist of course, brief description of the film, author's biography, information of the topic, a country and the context of the topic and the issues that the film dealing with, and some kind of possible scenarios how to organize activity and to how to organize class in primary and the secondary schools. Okay, the usual topics or set of the topics you can find here. Actually, in the first place, children rights, rights on education, exploitation of child labor, migration, sexual education. During the first 4 years, we saw that the children insist to have this kind of topics and issues in the curriculum. So we provided for them. Ecology, prevention of violence and discrimination, especially in country like in Serbia, subversive art and subculture, gender identity, and youth participation, activism generally, because we miss this kind of activism in Serbia, especially in last 5 or 7 years. This educational set consist of the films, and the films are selected, of course, by duration of the school class. So all of them are shorts, because classes are typically 45 minutes long. They are selected considering the age of the viewers, in correlation with the civil education curriculum of the Ministry of Education, and of course, artistic and educational value of the film. What is interesting about this process, this is one of the pictures from the session. During this process, there is a selection team from our festival. There is a team also from the professors and the teachers from the primary and secondary school, but also there is a number of the children from elementary high school, and all of us together, we are looking for, I don't know, around 50 to 70 shorts. After the session, speak a lot about them, and all together we are deciding which one will be the part of the curriculum or this manual education program. We are happy, and there is possibility, because this is not, you know, it's special kind of the project and the program, that the children, they have last word about selection. For example, there is several titles in the previous years where professors were against it to put some film in the programs, but the children were so strong and convinced during the debate about the film. Then after all, they convinced their professors and teachers to put it in a program. This is for us very important, because practically they are deciding what to look during the classrooms in the schools. I told you that we organized the seminar for the teachers, and I bring you here some kind of timetable of the seminar, where we want to empower them, you know, how to use the film. Take into consider that we are covering the whole educational system in Serbia, so it's not only the cities or urban environment. It's the most of the teachers are coming from the villages, from the small towns and places where, you know, in the last, I don't know, 5 or 4 years, they don't even have opportunity to download PDF program from our website. So for them, these kind of seminars are very, very important. For them, it's important, and it's space and the place to ask all of us who are participating in this program and who are preparing this program how to work, how to organize the classes, how to use all these hard topics or funny topics, whatever it is, how to deal with the children about it. And this is one of the steps of this implementation of this program. After 11 or 12 years working in elementary and high school, we find the place to develop new program together with the Faculty of Philosophy in Belgrade. And we organize a new subject teaching with a film, and it's accredited, and it's been realized in the last 3 years. And we are working together in this program in partnership with the organization People in Need. Okay, so it's interesting that this kind of non-formal initiative, you know, find a way to work on the university, especially University of Belgrade. And you can find here that, especially for the young students, they want to know how to ESP, you know, points they can get from the class, and during the school, through 3 week, we have some kind of not three. We have several ways to organize the classes. We have 5 teachers, but we organize a lot of guests, a lot of directors, producers, people who are working in the documentary films, and who are coming as a guest on the faculty to speak more about all these issues. Okay, this is one of the first pages of our book or manual for the faculty. You can see that we have 3 or 4 different kind of approach. We speak about them, what is a documentary film in generally. They also have opportunity to find out what is the history of documentary film, what is the different genre styles in documentary. Also, how to deal with emotion after the projection. I heard that some of you spoke earlier today about it. And also we try to this work on university to promote our work in primary and secondary school, because probably some of the students one day in their activities can use all these manuals and to promote all this issue and to use this program wherever. Okay, so this is some kind of dissemination of the methodology that we find out. So you can find that we are present in a different university. You can find us in the University on Niš, on Kragujevac, in Belgrade. Also, you can find some kind of there is some kind of program that we are working in Jagodina. It's a small town in central Serbia, very near to University of Kragujevac. And this is the one part of the project. The second part of the project are some kind of film schools for the young people, dedicated more to or oriented more to the high school children. So you can find some kind of pictures from our workshop. This is the last one, because at the moment we have 2 projects. One is dedicated for the young people in Serbia who are working in 2 groups. One group is people who are in secondary school, and the second group are people who are attending universities, and they are in a program of they are learning how to shoot and how to produce their first documentaries. At the moment they are in Divčibare, where in the next several days they will shoot their first footage in their life. And what is interesting for this program is that a lot of these children actually after this program attend film school in not only in Serbia but in the region, because several our workshops were regionally oriented. And there is some of the titles that I want to present. Maybe some of you, especially in the region, have opportunity to see our best production, or our most successful production was a film of Kaja Šišmanović, How's Everyone at Home. Kaja at that time were a high school girl from Zagreb. Actually, this film won special mention at Zagreb Docs. And Test of Maturity is a film from Smirna Kulenović, at the time young high school girl from Sarajevo. And this film were bought by Al Jazeera and showed through the DR Festival. Ana Irga was the shyest girl or pupil who attend all of our workshops. And at the moment she studied documentary in Germany. And Super Mario is a film of Filip Topolovec and Christian Lončarić from Zagreb.
We would need to finish a bit.
Okay, excuse me, sorry. Okay, there is a link here of this film, so every one of you can see the trailers and the film of this film. And I can speak a lot about all this. You know, we have also Free Zone Junior Traveling Cinema. Also, we organize together with all other countries and organizations European Film Young Audience Award. Our difference is, our strength is a project dedicated to minorities in Serbia. And there is also a project, How Do I See You, very active, you know, because we are doing this with the DocuFest Film Festival in Prizren, and we try to find some young people who are ready to shoot films about each other in the next two years. So excuse me, I was too long, but we have...
But you are doing a lot, so, and it's quite an added value to the film education and in Serbia, and especially when it comes to the documentaries. I also like that you are using documentaries when it comes to film education, and that you manage even to get accreditation as a course of the faculty of philosophy in Belgrade. So thank you, Rajko. I move on to Georgia. Tea, you will represent Kino Skolashi, so film at school.
Yes.
It's run by the Georgian Film Center where you work, and you are the head of the project. And maybe you can give us an insight how you do it in Georgia.
Yes, of course. I try to share my presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Our project is Film at School, as Martina say. Our project was initiated by Georgian National Center, but financed from Ministry of Education, Science and Culture of Georgia. Our target audience is young people from 12 until 19 years. Now, our project aim is to make a screening, as this is regular screening, with regular weekly screening in schools, and after make follow-up discussion. It's new how for our project is that this discussion help with facilitate of the young specialists, which we call film missionaries. This is maybe they are young film critic, film directors, maybe film writers. We made for them a small training, and after they start this project and start work with us. Now about the statistics, we start 6 years ago from the 40 schools, and now we have on board about 100 schools. Most of the schools are from small city and small villages, because in Georgia we have cinema halls only in only capital city, Tbilisi, and in other city we have not cinema halls, because we decided to establish this project in a small city and small villages. We have one challenge. We have not stability because everyone have to ask about financing from Ministry of Culture. Are you hear me?
Sorry, I can hear you, but now I lost your presentation.
Yes, but why, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I do it again. Why? I don't know. Wow.
Okay, so your presentation
is here. Everyone have to ask about financing from ministry. It's difficult, and every year we are thinking, help our project or not. It's a big challenge for us.
But there's also Georgian Film Center help in financing as well, because
yes,
you're referring to the ministry, so maybe.
Yes, but Georgian Film Center has small financing. In the main aim from Georgian Film Center is to finance film production, not education. Is
under the Ministry of Education. Yeah.
And now about the film. The film is selected based of consultation with the professionals. Film.
Yeah, just a second. We don't see your presentation.
Why?
I see your desktop. And then you need to click on the document. So we just see your document. So you need to again get inside the presentation. Yes, perfect. So we go to the slide.
What?
Okay, so we continue. Everything is okay now. So just go to the slide where you stopped.
Yes. Our films were selected by consultation with the several professionals, film historians, field psychologists, also education experts, and they are classical film Georgian and also foreign classical films. We have our website. CED-MEDIA, which contains education materials for films. Also, here, all schools which are interested in will be able to register and receive an advice how to organize their school films, the film schools, in film schools clubs.
Mm-hmm.
We have also other activities. Our participants, young people, draw posters and short films. Also, we make several competition. This is daily questions. Also, write your first film review. Also, photo contest about Rice film shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have interesting meetings with successful Georgian film directors and crew members. One is we have every year we had annual events. It will be international intellectual game about cinema, or excursion to the film studio, or visit to the film festival which take place in Tbilisi. We try to use international cooperation, and we 2 times was involved in the project supported by Creative Europe. One was two 2016, we made this program was European Film Clubs and School Licensing. In frame of this program, we made our website, and our partners were UK, Lithuania, and Latvia. Until now, we are involved in other program. It is the Film Corner. This is a very interesting project. In frame of this project, we made online application. And we use this application to study cinematic language. Also, we have several didactical apps about film relationship with other subjects and other arts. Film. We have two applications. One is art app, and second is propaganda app. And we now start using this application in schools. This online application was very helpful for us during the coronavirus situation, because we can make online online activity, not in line, because Georgia now situation is not good, and school are closed, and we continue work with the international, with online activities.
That's good.
If I have time, I can show you the promo of our project to pass the mood of our project.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. You have time.
If you can find it as well. So.
Yes, I try find it. 1 minute.
maybe like gave us κατάλαβης σε κάποιες τηλέματα, όλες δεν μετακάμε μας στο θέμα, ήταν τα μας στο μέγιτες φόρμα στην Emilia, μας είναι σχόλια, και διάρα ούσου δύο, σε κάτι πιο πια, είπατε να.
I'm a fan of Georgian film production, and I was privileged to visit Georgia last year. So despite the lack of financing, you really are doing great work when it comes to films. So thank you for your presentation. The next one, I move to dear Kaisa, Emilia, Kukkola, and Finland.
Here we are. Do you hear me?
Yes, yes. Oh,
yes.
I expected you to be in the woods and the forest.
I'm in a way in a cottage, but the sun is shining, so unfortunate I can't have my curtains open. I'm on holiday, so
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
But it has been so interesting to hear all these things you have been telling, because we are all in the same situation. We don't have a national program, real curriculum to support us in our work. So for all of us, so I will tell you, I don't have a presentation. You will only have my talking head for a while.
As long as you talk, so
that's not the thing you are going to lack with me. So,
but just before we go on, I mean, I tried to prepare myself for your presentation, and unfortunately, everything was in Finnish. So I really look so much forward to hear what you do in Finland, especially since you are, but we also touched yesterday, putting a lot of emphasis on media literacy. And then under the media literacy, we have the film literacy and film education. So we would really like to hear more how you do it.
Yeah, that is a big question for all of us for the moment. So as in several countries, it is happening that the media literacy is taking the whole field of what we used to have back like 20 or 30 years ago. And I remember in my own school days, we had film screenings, we spoke of that, and the teachers were really motivated to show us films, and they seem to understand the pedagogical input it has. But now it seems that the biggest struggle is to convince the teachers why should you show films that are not self-evident, that are not part of the holiday way of watching films. And since the old generations, I don't say that everything was perfect back then, but we used to have this kind of understanding that film education can be really a really crucial part of the pedagogical content we have in schools. For instance, teachers, they see pedagogical point in teaching children things like, we don't have our favorite food week every week. We have different kinds of foods, so you can all taste it. And all teachers participate in that kind of motivating children. But when it comes to the cinema, it seems to be that, okay, if everyone hands in their homework at times, so maybe we will have some spare time and we will watch a film at the end of the school week or something like that. And since there is not this existing curriculum saying that you should watch films, you should study some of the film history, for instance, it feels that it's a no man's land where it could be everyone's land. So how to motivate the teachers to find everything you have now? We have so many things online. We have had it for a few years already in Finland. It's not only this coronavirus crisis that has brought it in their everyday life, but also the teachers, they have so many things to do, and they don't seem to have hours that they are paid for so that they could go further and find things. And I think that is something that we all share, that people are extremely busy. And for that need, we have many, many different kind of associations in Finland. We have really like good local like festivals, events, happenings, screenings. We have regional film centers that are participating in film education in many ways. But it seems that the coherence is not there yet. So it's not at all democratical what is happening in Finland. You can go through the whole 12-year schooling system without ever hearing of a filmmaker or ever seeing a film. you will have to have really like bad luck that it happens, but it can happen. And also if you are with a teacher who is really motivated and finds the time and has the means, you will have a good film education. So in Finland, we are now in that stage. We are several associations. We are trying to create a network so that at least, like you said, that we, Martina, you said that we don't know what our neighbors are doing. Like we are trying to focus on things, and we might find some help if we had the chance and time to share our experience and share a moment together. So that's what we are doing for the moment in Finland, like how to solve this problem that all small associations, small people are doing really good and beautiful things, and how to communicate it better so that it can reach all the teachers in whole Finland. And the other part is that we are trying to lobby. I don't know if it's a good thing to put cinema as such in the curriculum, but at least it seems to, like curriculum we have now, enables the teachers to include cinema in their own teaching. So we try to reach the universities training teachers and organize different kinds of, Rajko also are organizing seminars. We try to raise this awareness of the film and its possibilities in today's world, because even though we might think that, okay, there is so many good films, but they don't come to Finland, for instance, the language problem is a real problem, and we don't have these good films coming, and it's really frustrating. We see beautiful films that you are showing to your children, and we cannot do it because we don't have them subtitled or dubbed or whatever. But when we manage to raise the awareness and wake this passion in teachers, they will find the ways and the time to get motivated. And one thing, so our association, I'm working for IhmeFilmi, like Film Wonder. We have 4 different like projects going on. Like our regular program, we are proposing a program of from 5 to 10 classical films to the young high school students. It's between like 16 and 19 years old. So we work with gymnasiums like the pre-high school grammar schools. And they have this periodical system. They have the school year divided in 5 different periods. And during one period, they study certain matters and then they move on. And it has been really difficult to put in like even like 5 or 10 film series in that kind of system. So we are now trying a new thing, and we are bringing children for all the high schools in Helsinki area to a cinema hall. And we are proposing now to have a whole course on classical film, classical cinema in the cinema hall. Like Barbara, we have also a cinema hall, so it's really good place to have children coming. And now even with the coronavirus, we can limit the attendance, so we can organize the class in the cinema hall. And this liberates the teachers. So the children come from all different high schools, and we, the film educators, are directly in contact with the children or the youngsters. They are 16, 19 years old. So this seems to solve some of the problems we have encountered with the lack of time teachers are having, and the lack of confidence, because they haven't been trained to use cinema as such. And during that class, we try to help people to watch something else than the mere story or the actors. In Finland, we always screen films subtitled, and it seems to have some kind of effect on how people imagine the stories. When we let the children make their own films, they seem to concentrate on what is said, not that much on what is seen. The problem that the Germany mentioned just before, the München, a few moments ago. So we don't have this dubbing culture, so we don't dub films. And the subtitles we have to solve this problem in a way. So this means that we have to concentrate on like, what do we see? What do we have here? What are the means of expression that cinema uses? And for this, we are really spending time with the children, watching films with them. We are their partners in watching. And then rather than teaching them something, we start to discuss, like, what did you see? What happened? How did you feel when you saw it? Like, what was the feeling of the scene? And really quickly they say that, okay, the lighting was like that. It was edited in this way. It was faster and it was slower. And really quickly they can enumerate all the cinematographical means people use to express things in film. So these are the pedagogical background work we are trying to do with teachers. Like, hey, even though you are not trained, you haven't had like 3 years education in cinema, you can have this passion and you can share this passion, and the film can still touch our young children. And one really important part, of course, is making one's own films. But since the young children in Finland, they are so used to watch certain type of things, not mentioning any of them, but they are used to that, okay, the story must be told like this. You have to have the bad boy and the good boy, and they are dressed like this, and there's this kind of music that goes on with it. And it seems that they cannot imagine anything else. Like if they were like, they cannot accede to their own imaginary because their head is so full with this kind of telling story. So how to go further with that is also to make films, but help them by presenting them different, like, film history elements, show things that have been done, so they can see that, okay, the good one can be presented like this, but it can always also be presented like this. And finally, I can choose the way I am imagining the good person that I'm going to film. I could go on forever, but can you, Martina, say that if I still have few moments, or do we?
Like 1-2 minutes.
1-2 minutes.
Because I would like to also leave the floor. I see that questions are coming as well from the audience, and I hope that you're all staying afterwards.
Yeah.
You are really, like, the Finnish education is something that Croatians like to look upon. Like, you have really an example, you know, how to do it. So I was really surprised to hear that you're also experiencing different challenges, and it will be good also, it is just an advice, to have you on board in some European collaboration projects, because this will definitely help you out to really exchange what you are doing, and even though you are so far away.
Yeah. You are so far away. I'm really close to that.
From the perspective,
our association is collaborating with the La Cinémathèque Française on a French, it's an international project, Cinéma 100 ans de jeunesse, the 100 years of youth of cinema. And we are also participating in Creative Europe program called CED-MEDIA.
Which we are going to discuss.
So we are partners in that, and we are really happy to have this exchange. But it's quite funny, because usually Finland is thought that, okay, the teachers are really well educated and they have to have a really strict, like, curriculum. Not at all. The Finnish teachers, yes, they are really well educated, and it's really a wanted profession. People want to be teachers. And they have a complete liberty on everything they want to do. So we have really a general framework of the national curriculum. And then in that frame, they are completely free to do things. And this is the difficulty, and it's the possibility at the same time, because with the actual curriculum, they can take it on hostage and bring every children to cinema if they want to. But it's also the lack of money. And also, like, we have initiatives like in Helsinki city has promised that all school children, they can use the public transport during the daytime freely to go from places to another. But then came this corona crisis, so they are not going anywhere. And since everything is already online and there is so much of it, and I think that teachers are like collapsing under there are so many different things that finally the most asked type of collaboration for us has been the teachers training, so that I will like stay there for a day with them, discussing these pedagogical, like trying to find the pedagogical statement in their head, like how will I convince my children or my colleagues or my superior, the director of my school, to get into this. So that seems to be the level we are struggling for the moment. But we also have like programs that go in schools like IhmeFilmi, like Wonder Finland, which is a program of 5 Finnish films that are subtitled in Finnish for the people that come to Finland and learn the language and the culture. They are not for, as such, they are not meant for the international audience, but they are a really good way to approach the Finnish culture for the people who are not that familiar with it yet. And so we have this like international but also really like national way of watching things. But we are working mainly with the film classics, and we have many other associations who work with other contemporary things, organize competitions and give awards and so on. So I think that everyone know what we are like talking about here. So same kind of struggles everywhere.
Yes. Okay. So thank you.
Thank you, Martina.
I would like to ask you also if you can leave your contact for everyone, just in case if somebody has a question or so. So I would like to move to our final presentation coming from Portugal. Those 2 ladies that I almost missed from Cine Clube de Viseu, Carla and Margarida. And I would like just to ask Rajko if he can check a question on chat. There is a question from Naima asking him regarding civic education. So if Rajko can answer in the chat room, I would very much appreciate. Thank you.
We are in private option already speaking about everything.
You can type it. If you can type it. Thank you so much. And I move to Carla and Margarida. So we come to the initiative which was established, if I'm correct, in 1955.
The film club, was established in 1955. But then our project with schools, film education with schools, was in 1999. We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Yes. Margarida, I start the presentation, the video. Okay.
So, first of all, we'd like to thank Martina and all the organizers and Creative Europe Desk for the invitation, the opportunity to be here today. And before we forget, we should share our contact information in the chat right now, because we'll only have like this film. So maybe I'll just put our contact information here. Oh, wait. There you go. And now we can start. So we will focus on the educational work we do across all our activity, but especially with children and youth, of course, considering the lack of a national program for audiovisual education, or at least its poor implementation or its shortcomings in Portuguese schools. And let me point out that we do not have a cinema, unlike many of you. So we don't welcome the children in our own space. We bring cinema to their lives, to the places where they live and spend most of their time, which is usually school. But we also work with other partners that promote activities for children, like museums, festivals, etc. And one thing we realized is that life is boring at most schools. So, and it becomes clear from our presence that there's an excitement just for the simple fact that it breaks the routine, you know. And the fact that it's cinema, it really brings some magic. It's more than just breaking the routine. It's magic, and it's a wonderful moment in the middle of a series of tedious, monotonous tasks that they have to do in their day. So it's not only important for us that we feel that we are doing a job that needs to be done and is delightful and all that, but it's also in most of all important to them get this chance to have a fascinating break from a dull routine and to feel passionate about something in that place where they spend most of their time. And it's also important for schools, of course, because of that. And this is just a point I'd like to make. It's all the more important since Viseu is not a big city. So these kids really need this kind of stimuli and input in their lives, you know, because it's not the same as living in a city that has other kinds of infrastructure and, you know, opportunities. So it's really a matter of equality, of equal opportunities, of democracy, for them to become prepared and articulated citizens. And that's what we're going to talk about. So yes, as Martina was saying, we were established in 1955, Cine Clube Viseu. And since our early beginnings, we conciliated screenings for the general public and children. And all the sessions were accompanied by film bills and lectures, either in the beginning or the end of the session. So, yeah.
Yes, and then in 1999, we realized that well, there was a lack of film education in national curriculum, and so we started to do something in Viseu, and now it has been 20 years. This is our 20th anniversary, and well, we have some figures. We now reach 40,000 children. Our geographical coverage it's much larger than in the beginning. It's not just in the city. It goes to small towns and distant schools, and we offer also different activities for different ages. So that's what I'm going to talk about now for a bit. We have, I would say, 3 main activities. The first one is Little Cinema, that is specially designed for preschools and first cycle schools. To children from 3 to 10 years old. And we organize this in a program where we go for 3 times to the school, and the last session, the 4th session, they go to the cinema. So the first session is about watching films, normally animation films, and they can do all sorts of activities about these films. For instance, we are now seeing some movie posters that they all do, and they come all together in the last session to see an exhibition of cinema posters. So this is the first session in schools, and then the second session usually is about article. This is the final session where you can see all the kids. This is the summer screening in the cinema, in the city cinema. And this was the last film this year's film. So I was saying that the second session in Pequeno Cinema, in Little Cinema, is about optical toys. And it's very interesting. It was what Margarida was saying. It's this very magical moment. And yet it has been a very rewarding feedback that we have receiving from teachers and from the kids. and the way they can collaborate, and the way that films and optical toys and all the workshops that we deliver in schools create this magical moment for children. This is the third session of this program. It's an animation workshop in the classroom. Usually we see a movie. This is the Fairy Tale of McLaren, and about this film we can make some exercise, stop motion exercise. It's really not only entertaining but educative in the sense that they fully understand the mechanism of animation, of making a film, and so on. This session usually happens in 1 hour and a half, and yes, and it's not very easy for us to organize all these sessions with schools, namely because of the time that we can spend in schools. So in this workshop, they get this small clip that they have made with their own draws, and in this case, it was part of a bigger film that we put all together in the old school, all the workshops, all the mini clips made by each class, and made a 8 minutes film called Malmker. It was shown in some festivals and so on. Well, this activity of doing films, it's also another important activity of the Cine Clube in the cinema for schools. This one was the last film we made in Foz. It's a museum in Foz with ancient repressed figures, Margarida, some help. Yeah, okay. And it's a 20-hour workshop, and we usually do it in schools, in museums, in other festivals. And it's very interesting to see how they can go on all the process of making a movie. Well, it would be lovely to see all the entire film, but I think there's no need for that.
Maybe you can share the link. Is it online on YouTube?
Yes, it is.
Maybe you can share the link.
Yeah, later on.
Okay.
Let me stop just for a while. So, summing up these activities of the Cine Clube, we work mainly with schools, yeah, and it is not easy. Well, actually, I want to say something. We are in this panel that so the panel is, the name is
education initiatives on the national ones.
There's no national strategies. Yes, okay. It's not completely correct, since in Portugal we have a national program called Plan Nacional Cinema, National Plan for Cinema, that is run by Ministry of Education, Culture, and now Cinemateca. I suppose Rui Machado will talk about this program later on. And but is not mandatory, so it relies on the will of teachers and schools to participate. And that there is a big question for us, and I think it is chaired by the project that were previously presented, that this gap between the national level and the local level. I don't believe it is possible to implement a film education program in a national level without the support of local projects and
communities, entities,
organizations that usually does this kind of work. Because it's not the school that is going to run the film in the cinema or to put all together. Well, because that is another question, is the problem of this national curriculum too, that, well, there is a culture of the program in Portugal, so it's not so easy for teachers to wish to show and to see cinema and films with children. So if the activity is well organized and this work it's provided for them, it will be much easier. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, these were two questions that we can become later on. So Margarida, if you can,
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about two projects that are like for us natural developments of our work and the work we do with children and teenagers. Vista Curta is our short film festival in Viseu, and it was created to discover and promote local directors and productions and encourage the development of cinema in our region. And of course, in this, during the festival, we have specially programmed sessions for schools and talks with directors, and we involve the public and the audience in this activity, of course. And the other one is our magazine, Argumento. It was created as a newsletter for our members in 1984. And now, and each year, more importantly, it becomes one of the very few Portuguese printed publications about cinema. It has essays, original artworks, research and opinion articles. And we see it, as I was saying, as a natural development of the work we do with children. But I must say it still has to come closer to our young community, especially teenagers. So it has been one of our challenges. And maybe I'm going to talk about a little bit about that a little bit later. Because maybe we want to point out the good things first. Carla, do you want to?
No, well,
I can talk about it too. I don't know if you want to talk about some good aspects of our...
Yes, of course. You can go to the good ones.
Okay. Well, mainly it's the recognition we get. Carla was already talked about it. And then the joy and motivation of the children who participate. It's like obvious, we can clearly see that. And of course, our own fulfillment for doing something that is so important and gratifying, and that we feel no one else is doing. Especially in our region, in Viseu, we work with not only in the city, with schools in the city, but also in the outskirts. So it's a job that is really necessary, as I was saying, as it is not a big city. Yeah, I think that's probably it. You know, I mean, we all share the same values here. We feel great about disseminating cinema as an art and make sure it becomes an important part of children's lives.
Yeah, for some difficulties, I think we have talked in the previous project also about that, is the question of the funding, of course. What I feel about the Portugal situation is there are many activities similar to ours, run locally, and there is some national good intentions that cannot come together. So I don't know. Yeah, lack of funding fundamentally.
And articulation too.
And the other difficulty is the kind of solitary work that we do, and even nationally or in a European level, I think it's very important and urgent to create this collaborative work, this space like this one for sharing ideas, experience, but really to work together. I think that is really important because we are doing very similar things, and I think we could really share that. That's all.
Yes, I mean, I can back you up in this, and for this reason, it was important to advocate this and echo that we need more film funding when it comes to the film education, but to have it at more culturally diverse level, because we need to have your success stories visible as well, because sometimes it's only a certain region of Europe taking this money, and we need to somehow advocate this, that diversity is what matters. And for this reason, we are organizing such conferences so that we finally meet each other. And I'm using the opportunity to again stress out that I'm aware of that we are running out of time, but this just proves that we need such networking events more than ever, because we don't meet in general, and especially now during this COVID crisis. We really don't meet and we don't talk, and this is the moment that we need to open up a dialogue that we need to continue, so it cannot happen, it needs to happen every year or even more often, because we really are lacking this time to meet and to discuss. Did I interrupt you, or because we will need to kind of make a closure for the panel, because we entered the second chat, the third chat room.
Tina,
yes.
Sorry, may I just say one thing that I would like to hear other people talk about, maybe in another context? I don't know. It's just that I feel that one of our biggest challenges is that transition between the work we do with children and the time, I mean, in our case, we go to them, and the time when they should start coming to us. And if our work is enough for them to become cinephiles and go to the cinema and all that, because that's something that I feel is a shortcoming in our case. Like, we do a lot of work and they enjoy what we do with them, but then we're missing something. There's something lacking in that transition between the work we do with children and they becoming cinephiles and, commit. And for instance, Rajko said many kids involved in their project go to film school.
Yeah. And
I think that's amazing. But I think maybe we should talk more about initiatives like, for instance, TEAS initiative, the school film clubs, and things like the young programmers projects around Europe, because that's a way of commit them, and and also working with smaller groups. I think that's an important part of it, for them to become, for them to feel that they are important, active, and doing something that really matters, and become involved in another level, which is not only a sort of passive participation.
Yeah, it's a work of all of us,
right?
And it's time consuming, maybe, because I can speak, and Barbara can back me up from Rijeka experience. Rijeka has 150,000 inhabitants, so 15,000 kids per year. It's a success story, but they started only with 1,000 or so. Yes. But the cinema became the place where they go you know, so where they meet, where they also start to help them out in terms of the selling the tickets, participating in various programs. So you need to have this dedicated space so that they know if something does not happen around their school or film club or so, that there is a still space, safe zone where they can always go back to. For this reason, the dedicated space needs to be somehow going along with the film education as well. This is the starting point. So thank you.
Let's get some funding for dedicated spaces around Europe.
That's true.
We
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I was also surprised that there are not so many of them at the European level, and I'm as you said, besides having the European culture context, this is something that also Europe needs to work on as well. So thank you all, dear speakers. I give you a big applause like this.